Hi, yo. Thank you once again. So let's continue with our project. What we need to do now is to start writing or implementing our functions. And the first function we're going to implement, obviously, is the item function so that the user will be able to add items or add information to the CSV file. So the most important thing that we need to do first of all is to import the CSV module. So to do this, you just import it. It's not important to install anything. You don't download anything, just to write import CSV right at the top of the file where you're writing the program. And then we head over to the add item function, and then we will start writing our function here. So what we need to do is to let's use the while loop again. Let's use this again in order to make sure that the user typed in something, because if they fail to type in something, then the application will keep on prompting them to type in what is required of them to type in. Otherwise, nothing's going to work. So first of all, let us create this variable and get user input. So here we ask them first of all if they wish to proceed, and then we can ask them to either put in any of these, or so any of these to proceed, either yes or no. So once they put in this information, let's first of all verify to make sure that to verify what the user uh, typed in. Based on that, we're going to make our decision on what to do next. So if the response provided by the user is no, response if the response provided by the user is no, what should we do? What we do is to uh, action taken. So once the user decided not to proceed, so what we do is to show them this information, no action taken, and then bye. And then I was thinking maybe to break out of the out of this here, but I think it will be better. The ideal thing would be to call this function there, so that once they leave the application will show them again the option so that they can choose what else they need to do. Maybe they want to take a different action rather than other than uh, inserting information into the CSV file. So the next thing we do now is let's use else if the response is yes. Uh, equals to yes, or response is equals to oh no, this is why. So if any of these, so what will happen is that first of all, let's create. So what will happen is that we open the CSV file. So because the CSV file doesn't exist yet, so let us call it db.cs db, that's for database, CSV. Then what do we intend to do? We intend to write, and then after each line, there should be a new line after each entry. So now let us write data, let's call it data box. Let's call the module CSV module in order to be able to write. Let's use the writer function, and then let's call data And what we do now is to start asking or collecting information from the user. And if you remember, in the beginning, I suggested that this file, what we use it to do is to enter information about different companies that produce network devices. So just some basic information about these companies and what they produce. Like we just choose a single item from the range of items that these companies produce. So what we do now is to first of all ask them for, let's collect some unique information from each of the companies, because this unique information we're going to use it later, probably in the search option, search function and delete function, so that we will use those or this unique piece of information to delete or to detect each company. So what we do now is, so let's say the first information we need is, let's collect their NASDAQ. I think that is what it's called, the trading company. So the NASDAQ information of the companies would be something like, let's say, NASDAQ number, NASDAQ number. And that will be the first information. So the next thing is company name, the name of the company. Then we receive it as an input, company name. And the next thing we need is the year the company is founded, for instance. The year the company is founded. Well, let's just say year founded. Year founded, I think this is good enough. And then we could also have a product. The just one of the products that the companies produce. That's enough. We don't need to list everything. So maybe major product produced. Major product produced by the company. You know what? Let's just major product. It should be good enough. And then probably location or headquarters. Let's say location. Let's say where their headquarters is. But headquarters. You know what? Headquarters. Let's leave it this way. So headquarters, how many pieces of information do we have now? We have about six pieces of information. I think this is good enough. So after this, the next thing we need to do is to show the user the information that they entered. That's the next thing we do now. So we could just use the print, and you have entered. You have entered. So now let's call these variables, then company, and founded, and product, then headquarters. I think that's all. So we provide them or show them the information that they just entered. So once this is shown to them, the next thing we need to do now is to ask them if they want to proceed to record this in the database. So what we do now is to first of all ask them for some information, proceed, create this variable, and then input. So to submit, and then we can just add this again. We ask them if they want to proceed to register this in the system. We ask them this, and then let us again ask if proceed. If proceed is, let's say y, or proceed is either upper or lowercase. So let's write it to the file using the right uh, is it the right row? Right row. Wait, I think I used the wrong. First. Oh, it should be data box so that we can get the function that we need. Right, yeah, that's what we needed. So once we use this, we can just go on and let's create a list inside of this function, and then we can just go on and call out these variables. Founded, product, product, and headquarters. These are the things we want to enter into the database. And then we can just print maybe data has been submitted. And just write that out and then close. We can then close where is it? Data. We can close it so that the file is not corrupted. Because if it's left not, if you don't close this, it's going to corrupt the file might be corrupted. So that's why it's very important to close this. So what if else if the user chose not to proceed? So remember, this else is still under this. So if the user chooses yes, so they can write this. This will be submitted to the database. But what if it says something else? Then what we do is to cancel, right? Maybe we don't proceed. Canceling, canceling entry. And then the next thing that we might want to do is to provide them also the option. Once it is cancelled, it takes them back to the main screen where they choose option because maybe the person wants to do something else. So that's it. So now you remember that we still have to close this if because now we have this if that is if the user chooses not to proceed. And then we have else if where the user chooses yes and then the enter information. But if nothing else happens, we can just use, we can close this and say print. Maybe something like, oh, I don't know what we could just write here and then we can provide them with options again. The option function, and that's it. That's what we need for adding the information to the database. So what we need to do now is to test it out and see what happens. So first of all, let us open the, let's say Python and Python CSV says permission. I have no permission. So what I need to do is let's call it without just py. Yeah, so that's what we wanted to see. So now let us go on and let's go on and test our application and let's first of all call A. So what do we need to do here? So what we need to do is, first of all, I don't like the way this looks. There should be a space here. So let me just add a space there. Let's add a space, and then first of all, let us quit. Let's close. Wait, when you choose quit, the application should quit. Yeah, I just wanted to be sure. So let's proceed again. So what we need to do now, let's choose A. And then what do we need to do? Maybe the user, do you wish to proceed? Maybe the user decided, no, I don't want to add any information to the file. So they could just choose N. So what happens? It closes and brings them back to the options so that maybe they want to proceed with something else. You see, that's the decision we made here. So what if the user wants to proceed? So let us try again and say something like, um, let's say A, and then the user says yes, they want to proceed. So now what do? We want to ask the information. So now, what's the NASDAQ number? So first of all, let me write one of my favorite companies. The name is Cisco. So their NASDAQ number is CSCO. Then the company name is Cisco. Then the year it was founded was 1984. Then the major product they produce is router. Obviously, they produce so many other uncountable amount of items, firewalls, and so many other things. But obviously, and their headquarter, I believe, is California. California is their headquarter. So it says to us you have entered Cisco, the NASDAQ, and then Cisco 1984 router, California. So do you want to proceed? Should I say yes or no? You know what? Let me say no. I do not want to proceed. I changed my mind. So what happens? Canceling it cancels and then bring me back to the main screen. Again, that's exactly what we did here. So the user chose yes, then they were allowed to enter the information, but after that, they were asked, do you want to submit? You see? So do you want to submit? So the user decided to say no, which is here. So the user decided to say no, and then it canceled. Once it canceled, it showed them again uh, the user interface, so that the options, so that they can choose something else if they want to do something else. So now, finally, let us test it and add information to the database. So what we do now is let us choose A, and yeah, we want to proceed. Then the NASDAQ number CSCO, and then company name is Cisco. Year founded was 1984. And major product is routers, headquarters, California. So do you want to submit? Let's say yes this time. Data submitted. You see, it says data submitted. So now, that's the magic. Let's see what happens. This is the file that was just created now, dbcsv. This file was not here before, so it was just created, you see. So this is what we have now. And so what we can do now is let's add more information. So before we add this information, what we need to do now is actually, because this what we use here is used when you want to create, because the file didn't exist. That's why we use this. So now, because now the file exists, so what we want to do is to append information to this existing file, because we don't want to change it. We want this file to remain here. We append more information as time goes on. So what we do, we can change this to A, which is for append. So let's save it. First of all, let me, do you want to proceed? Let me say no. So it takes me back to here. So let me just, you know what? Let me just come out of this entirely, and then let's run it again. So let's add something else. Do you want to proceed? I say yes. And then it says NASDAQ number. So what other company? So let's say um, Amazon. I think this is their NASDAQ number, MCN. And then company name, let's say AWS. Founded around, I believe it's around 2005. Major product is cloud services. And headquarters is somewhere in Seattle, I believe. This is how it is spelled, I believe. Or with double T's. Do you want to submit? Let's say yes. Data has been submitted. So let's check our file and see if it was submitted or not. Yeah, it was submitted. Amazon. So finally, I don't know if we should do one more. Let's try one more. We want to proceed. So let's say you probably guessed what company this is. So this is Palo Alto. This is Palo Alto. And then founded around 2005. And then major product is firewalls. Obviously, they produce so many other things, but firewalls, for example. And then the headquarters is California. Says, do you want to submit? Let's say yes. It's submitted. You see, it's just showing it right away. So, do you want to proceed? Do we want to proceed again? I think we can just say no. We don't want to proceed. So, takes us back uh, to the interface again, so that to the options, so that we can choose if we want to do something else. So I think this is it in this video. So this is all we needed to do, and this really works exactly the way I wish for it to work. So I hope this is I hope this tutorial is useful, and that's it. So when we come back again, we are going to write other functions. We are going to implement other functions. That the next one is going to be the list function, so that we will be able to list all the information we have in the file. So that's it for now, and see you again in next video. Thank you, and please subscribe to my channel. Bye.